Good evening. We've got week 6. It's been quite a few days since I've talked to you guys, but yeah, week 6 against Gwen of the Illinois Inkay. So it's gonna be another tough week. In fact, I think every week has been tough so far, but you know, I'll go into her team after the match because we're gonna kick it off here in a second. But this is another one of those really wide teams where I could see any of this one especially, I could see any of the 11 making an appearance. Just as like a little teaser here. Oh, here, let me get rid of this puppy. But as a little teaser here, you can see these 11 here, and they're all pretty solid. So I had to do some pretty wide preparations to account for a lot of different potentials. There were 2 leads that I'm scared of. Literally any lead involving Lele and like maybe Gorgeist are pretty scary. And then the other one that I had to play very carefully around is Torkoal Littlegan. So we'll see how it pans out. I'm gonna go ahead and get in this get this rolling here. Assuming we don't have technical issues. It looks like we may be having some technical issues. Showdown having issues. I don't think I'm having any issues. Yeah, I'm not having any. So maybe a computer thing on her end, which is fine. In the meantime, I guess I will talk about the team, specifically her team. Tabu Lele, first of all, is one of, I think, 2 Mons that get Psychic Surge. The other one being Indeedee Mayo, who you may not recognize it as having been on my team before, but it is now. So I did some waiver wire trades. In fact, I used all 4 of my free agent picks for last week to be prepared for this week. Not specifically to deal with this team in advance, but just because I kept getting rolled by Trick Room. And not having enough bulk on my team to really deal with the hard hitting. Usually when you sack the speed stat, you usually gain some sort of like buff from that, whether it be in defenses or offenses. So Trick Room is pretty good into my team, mostly because once you get Trick Room up, all my Mons are therefore acting after the opponent's Mons, and also the slower Mons tend to be a little more bulky. So that was basically a nightmare for me to deal with throughout the season. And with only 2 matches left, I still wanted to give it my all and play to win. So I made some changes that I can go over. She's gonna restart her computer, see if she can get this figured out, which is fine. We got plenty of time. But yeah, so Lele with Psychic Surge is very strong. It has a really good special attack stat. I think it's like, actually tells me right here. Oh, that's actually speed stats. I can tell you what it is with my own spreadsheet. Lele, 130 base attack, 115 special defense, and then 95 speed. So speed is bad, kind of average, but not bad. Not bad for sure, especially if you want to throw like a scarf on it. You can start overrunning some things fairly quickly. You could run like Dazzling Gleam for spread damage, or like Moonblast is an incredible stab move, single target. Which also has the potential to drop special attack that moves busted. And then you can also run, Psychic or Psyshock or anything to go along with Psychic Terrain for boosted damage. So Tapu Lele, whether it be Scarf or like a bulky variant, that's just there to deal tons of damage. And also, prevent any sort of priority with Psychic Terrain. Sucker Punch, Fake Out, all that stuff. Fake Out being probably the most prominent, is kind of scary. Which, I mean, I know if you pair like Lele and Gorgeist, you don't have to really worry about Fake Out anyway, just being a Ghost type. But it's still good to not have to worry about fake out anyway. You can just go for whatever move you want to go for and not have to worry about flinching. So Lele is definitely something I had to prep for. I have some ways to deal with it. I have Sludge Bomb on Landorus. I have Shadow Ball on Jellicent. So, you know, I'm expecting this thing to come out. I would be surprised to not see it, at least in the 6 Brought, but you never know. My predictions are all over the place. So, next up you got Torkoal, who is one of the slowest mons in the format. With 20 base speed, there are very few things that underspeed it that are usable, I would say. Surprisingly enough, Escavalier is one of those who, you know, has a tied speed stat. So, you know, assuming you run min speed, 0 speed IV Torkoal, which I did on my Escavalier, then they will both be speed tying. But considering Escavalier is quad weak to fire, I'm hoping to never have that in front of Torkoal. My plan is to get rid of it whenever possible. So I'm hoping not to see Torkoal in the back, because I probably will have Escav in the back. So if it is led, which I'm hoping the lead is Lilligant Torkoal with after you shenanigans into Eruption, that's what I prepared for. I would like to see that, because then I can just go with my strategy and not have to worry about Torkoal being in the back under Trick Room causing issues. Jellicent also will be a fantastic answer into Torkoal, just because it doesn't care for any of its fire moves. Even in Sun, doesn't really matter. It'll still tank hits, and then also it doesn't really care about getting Earth Power. The only thing to be wary of would be Solar Beam, which in Sun could be an issue, and I could very well see it running Solar Beam just, you know, for that water type coverage. So cool. All right, looks like we're good to go. I will go into the rest of this at the end. We'll jump into the battle now, and we'll get this cracking. Find user. We want to do 2022. This is the one. All right, we'll get these set up. I don't know how to use Porygon. I don't know if, I think Gwen was here. I think I remember seeing in when she joined that she had been here before and then came back. Maybe I'm confusing her with somebody else. I'm not sure. Oh, I can reset that. Okay. All right, cool. 2021, cool. I don't know what the difference between 2021 and 2022 is. Let me just double check. It should validate for both, yeah. Cool. Find user. Oh, I guess I can just do this. Alright, so let's challenge. Let's do 2021 per requested. Cool. Alright, stop this timer. Timer off. I will send the next one. I'll do game 1. No, not 22. 21, yes. Stop timer. We want to see a G2. What the heck? Okay, here we go. 2021. Perfect. Get this last one rolling. Timer off. G3. 3, 2, 1. Alright, I'm good to go if you are. I'll just track manually just because I don't know how to add Porygon, so I'm fine with it. I have time afterwards anyway, so. So we should be 3, 2, 1, yeah. Go like have fun, let's rumble. Alright, okay. No Regirock, love to see it. Jolteon coming out is pretty cool. I'm assuming that's Vault Absorb for Alecki. Lele being here is not surprising. Gourgeist being here is not surprising. Lilligant, Torkoal, I did, yep. Yeah, okay. And then Silvally. I wonder what this looks like. Is that normal type? Is this gonna be like normal gem explosion? Because if you lead like these two with like normal gem explosion, that's kind of spooky. Although I have also planned for that. So we're gonna do what I want to do, which is I need a way to deal with Jolteon at the end. So am I worried about Trick Room? I could be, probably. Let's just do it. Go with your gut sometimes. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, alright, I'm expecting after you Eruption here. So what I want to do is I want to Thunderbolt into Torkoal and Sludge Bomb into Lilligant. To spread my damage dealt into this specifically to weaken Eruption, and then let me do that again. Thunderbolt into Torkoal and Sludge Bomb into Lilligant, which Sheer Force Sludge Bomb should be totally fine. Thunderbolt, good damage. Perfect, perfect. Super effective Sash, okay. After you, I don't know that these get any priority moves. That is something I did not look out for. Lilligant does not. Torkoal does not. Okay. I think I just. What could the switch in? Jolteon into this slot, maybe? What if I Thunderbolt into that? Is there any switch into. I could slide. You know what? I'm gonna Thunderbolt into this slot and. Slide Bomb into this slot. Jolteon, okay. That's why you switch up damage. Just to be safe. If I had Earth Powered there, oh baby. But I was scared of Gourgeist. Gourgeist. Why do I have so much trouble saying that? Gourgeist. Okay. Do I think Ally Switch is coming out here? Because this thing gets Ally Switch. I'm locked into Thunderbolt, because I could just heal that thing up. But if I had Thunderbolt, Earth Power, it shouldn't matter, correct? Or do I Thunderbolt into Lele slot, Sludge Bomb into Jolteon slot? Because that did 51% to cover for the Ally Switch. Good damage. Light Screen, interesting. And now it lives because of that. Okay. Thunderbolt did 66%, cut in half, 33. Oh, that's gonna be a roll. Ooh, yucky. Who do I think's in? Oh wait, Torkoal's in back. I'm dumb. But there's no Trick Room, unless Lele doesn't get Trick Room? Wow, that's actually kind of surprising. I thought most Psychic types did. Could be Protect. Lucky moves first here. Could Protect, then Jolteon attack with like Shadow Ball or something. I just want to Rock Slide. Hit the roll. Shadow Ball, yep. Okay. That's fine, that's fine. That's Life Orb. Ooh. Dude, I love Life Orb Jolteon. I ran that in one of my prior, I think Players Cup Torkoal's coming out. I'm realizing that I have to go S-Cap here, which is kind of spooky with Torkoal in front of it, but I just attack into Torkoal. S-Cap takes it and deals with that. So, do I reveal? I'll just Iron Head. Why not? Yep. And that should be game. Yeah. Should be game. All right. Well played. I like the Jolteon tech. Life Orb Jolteon, I'm a big fan of. Having that for Voltibazor with Regieleki is very smart. Yeah, and the switch in, that's something, yeah, that was a smart play, which is why I was forced to read into it, just because the last thing I want to do was to have Regieleki waste a turn, considering he's insanely strong. Alright, now if I lead the same thing again, what do they do now? Do they have a lead for that? They could lead Jolteon. Jolteon Lele is not bad. If I do, I think Aleki's still the safest lead in case she wants to lead that again. I lead the same thing, Jellicent back, Escav. I just run the same 4. I feel like I do that a lot, but I think it probably tends to happen that once you like figure out what 6 they have, then you can kind of figure out whether or not the core 4 that you want to bring are going to be good throughout the entire match. Okay, so it is a different lead. This looks like, so it is normal type. So this screams normal gem explosion to me. Could be Scarf too. So if I want to Volt Switch into Silvally and Protect so I can get Jellicent in for free. And then if it does go for Explosion, then I take no damage. Yeah, okay. And then Trick Room goes up. Very, very smart. Very smart. I wonder if this is running Solar Beam. If it is, it's kind of spooky. Because Solar Beam, like double Grass Move into Jellicent would be really bad. And then the fact that Torkoal, that was very well played. That was very well played. Because it could also just Eruption to try and take out Landorus. But they may recognize Jellicent as the issue here. That's a bit of a problem, isn't it? What is it? Or it could be like, I'm gonna Strength Sap into this. I don't think Landorus takes a hit, but I'm gonna go for it. Yeah. That is big damage. Poltergeist, I don't think. Oh! Underspeeds me. Wow. Interesting. I am min speed Jellicent. What is this thing's speed? This thing gets a bunch of different forms, so I may have looked at the wrong one, but the one I looked at had 99 speed, so that may have been a mistake. That is bad. That is very bad. I cannot be... Mental Herb. Oh, wow. Disabled. I didn't even catch that. that's really, that's insane. I didn't know that. The more you know. Apparently she didn't know it either, but it's still calculated. It's all part of the plan. Oh no, what do I do here? Razor Shell and a Torkoal. I gotta get rid of the Torkoal, man. It's just gonna erupt everywhere. I mean, I think I just lose from here unless I outspeed deal damage, but it's not looking good. And then I can't lock myself into extreme speed because then I can't hit Gourgeist, but then if Jolteon's in back, then this thing can't do anything, so. Yeah, I lost that. Okay, I lost the speed tie, that's fine. That's totally fine. Totally fine, totally fine. Looks like we're going to game 3. See what I was talking about earlier with Trick Room just bodying me? Alright. How do we adapt? How do we adapt? I think probably Trick Room is probably what she's gonna go for now, knowing that I'm Scarfalecki and I just outspeed everything. So Trick Room's probably the play. Lucky moved first this game. Fault switch. Yeah, okay. I wish I knew the speed tier for Silvally, because if it's Scarf, it actually is probably Scarf. That's really bad. I think I have to lead Indeedee here, don't I? Indeedee for expanding force. I don't even know if I can take this thing out in one hit, man. I think I still have to lead Alecki just in case. What if I do Indeedee, Alecki, just to cover the speed basis? Jellicent in back is not bad. I mean, unless I get Poltergeist is so strong already. Not bringing Landers feels so bad, but in Trick Room it's not good. Jellicent, I think. Do I leave Jellicent on the bench here? There's a lot of grass and electric types here. But it's so good into Torkoal, man. This is kind of spooky. I don't like leaving Landers back, but I don't know what else I do, man. In Trick Room, I kind of just get washed, unless I can deal with Torkoal. Sorry, Jellicent. This may be a mistake. Hindsight's gonna be 2020. This is spray for Indeedee. Okay, so she knows that I have a Sash and Scarf here. Oh man. Shadow Ball 80, 160, Expanding Force, Terrain Boost, Stab. I could just kill Silvally now by doubling. Do I really care about Alecki going down here? I kind of do. Yeah, I think I just expanding for. Oh, you know what? Encore would be so sick here. That would be so sick, huh? I don't think Expanding Force is going to KO here. Explosion, immune, yeah. Oh no, this Escav got crit, dude. Oh, that's so bad. Will-O-Wisp. That is an interesting choice. I wonder why. Who's coming in next? Interesting. The crit on Escav is unfortunate. Is this thing Scarf? It is not. My Landers was faster. I have to attack into Gourgeist to deal with it, which is unfortunate. because I cannot let it survive. Because I lose in Trick Room. Unless... Who do I think's in back here? Probably Torkoal, right? I'm gonna Sludge Bomb into this and Iron Head into Lele. Okay, that takes out Gourgeist, Psychic into S-Cav, Iron Head, put Beery Berry, makes sense, and now Torkoal comes in, yep, okay. I think I win if I can deal with Torkoal. It could be a bait. I'm gonna Earth Power into that slot. I don't know what it's running. I Iron Head into Lele here. Earth Power, just KOs it. Crit. That crit, I can almost guarantee you probably didn't matter. Unless it was Assault Vest. I really hope that crit didn't matter. If it was Assault Vest, then it probably did matter. Because now I can just Sludge Bomb Thunderbolt. Doubt it, okay. Doubt it. Because if it was, I mean, that makes me think it's not AV, but if it was AV, then it may have mattered because I'm not Life Orb. I'm Safety Goggles, so. Oh, Trigger. Oh, that's why the Will-O-Wisp. Okay. Gotcha. Hoping that I would set up the Trick Room. I see. Well, I didn't have a very good reason for doing so. Only because I learned game 2 that Gourgeist undersped my Jellicent, who I decided not to bring for that reason, so. I see. Okay, that would have been, oh man, if I went for Trick Room and then just got bodied. It does, doesn't it? It does get Trick Room, yeah. Yeah, see that play I did think of. That's very true. I thought of leading Jellicent specifically to, you know, just in case it was Silvally again, but I was too scared of the Lilligant Torkoal after you lead. So I always wanted to lead Aleki just in case, so I could get free damage with a Volt Switch and get out of there. Or if it was that same lead, then I could just do the same thing. Dang, what a match, what a match. That was, hey, it was a close one. Unbelievably close. I guess it came down to game 3, the lead, honestly. That's all it came down to. It was this play here. Volt Switch into Gourgeist for 21% damage. Silvally Explosion to S-Cav. S-Cav got crit. Took 66, but I had Citrus on it, so it got some health back, and then Indeedee lived on with Sash, Expanding Force, Will-O-Wisp. Interesting. Will-O-Wisp into Indeedee Mail. Trick Room for passive damage, probably. Maybe considering min speed, Indeedee is probably what that was. Interesting. That's a very smart play. That was too smart. That was too smart. If I was a smarter player and did that, she would have had me. So me making, I mean, I didn't even consider that as a bait either. Like I did not mean to bait out a Trick Room option. It would have been smart though, because with oh, you know what? With the Frisk into seeing the Sash, that would have been smart. Because that takes out Indeedee Mail either way, and then I set up Trick Room, but I go down. Oh, yeah, wow, oh, that would have been so smart. That was a genius play that I hadn't even considered. And because I didn't consider it, I got away with worse play. Worse being, I say worse, considering it worked out, which, you know, just because something works out doesn't mean it wasn't a bad play. I was just playing for getting as much damage down as possible, and then switching in SCAV to hopefully underspeed. Well, it would have underspeed everything on. It would have undersped Gorgeist and, well, Silvally dies, but then you just who'd you bring in at that? I guess Lele, huh? Sent out Lele from that. Yeah, interesting. With Torkoal was in the back. Yeah. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I wonder if the Lele switch was once you realized that I didn't go for Trick Room. Then you switch in Lele for the speed factor, because then Torkoal just gets outsped. Banking on me to set Trick Room would have been smart. Especially considering I could be trying to set Trick Room to reverse it, which is exactly what she thought I was going to do, yeah. Yes, very, very smart. I did consider that. I'm glad I didn't go for it, because I would have gotten bodied. Although Jellicent would take a Poltergeist at full health. So if I had led with Jellicent, it would have been an entirely different match. And then I would have set Trick Room for her, but I probably still would have switched Aleki out with Volt Switch into the SCAV. So turn one would have played the same regardless. I just would have Jellicent SCAV on the field, and then assuming the explosion would still crit me, I'd go back to like 60% health because of Citrus. Interesting. That would have been a very interesting game had that panned out like that. I probably would have lost. But I did not go for the reverse Trick Room strat with my own Trick Room. So, but that is something I should keep in mind for the final match next week, week 7. DD Mail for reversing Trick Room, because I believe I'm going up against Poppin next week, and he is very much a Trick Room player right now. He's got a lot of good Trick Room runs, Gothitelle being one of them. So, but that's enough about the future. Let me go back and okay. So I don't know. This you may have already had enough time to look at this team and see what I was preparing for, but this team had a pretty big rock and steel weakness. Which is half the reason why I ran Rock Slide on Landorus, but also Ground Poison covers this team very, very well. Poison for Lele, Ground for Torkoal, Poison for Togetic. Poison's neutral on Gorgeist, but still good damage. Silvally doesn't want to take a stab, Sheer Force, Earth Power. And then Lilligant doesn't want to take Sludge Bomb, Regirock doesn't want to take Earth Power. It's Frail, doesn't want to take either one. Lapras doesn't really care either way. It's a thick mon, and then Stonejourner doesn't want to take a Earth Power. So, leading Aleki Landorus, in my eyes, was a pseudo counter to virtually every lead. The only one that could stop it was Gorgeist and Silvally, which is the other lead that I was scared of, like Explosion, Normal Gem. So, which it wasn't Normal Gem, I think it was Scarf. So, Scarf, Explosion, probably like max attack, max speed. Silvally was very spooky, which is also why I wanted to have Jellicent as part of the 6 to deal with the Explosion. Lilligant and Torkoal is a nutty duo, just with, Torkoal setting Sun, Lilligant getting after you with Chlorophyll. It goes twice as fast, so you just run max speed Lilligant, outspeed everything, click after you, and then Torkoal just erupts everywhere, which makes it so that you don't necessarily need Trick Room for Torkoal to move before your opponent, which is terrifying. So Sun Boosted could be like Charcoal Torkoal with just like Eruption deals absurd damage. It dealt like 40% to Jellicent, and Jellicent has I'm running like max HP and some special defense investment, and I still took an absurd amount of damage. So that combo's terrifying. I think the only downside to it is that it's such a destructive combo that it forces the opponent to be prepared for it. So I very much had to be prepared for that combo. Otherwise I would have gotten swept. So me prepping for that was the only reason I was able to take game 1. Regirock is also very scary. I think the main reason you wouldn't want to bring Regirock into this match is because it can't do too much to SCAV. Even if it's like weakness policy Regirock, I would just knock it off first, because I don't want to mess with a +2 Regirock who can like Iron Defense himself to oblivion and then just basically be unkillable, or even curse, and be unkillable and then just body press everything to death, or like Stone Edge, Rock Slide, whatever you want to do with the weakness policy. So I would knock off with SCAV and then start going for Iron Heads, which, you know, would deal probably not insane damage because Regirock has base 200 defense, but it stab Iron Head from SCAV still doesn't feel too good, especially if you're not getting weakness policy off, and he can't really deal too much to SCAV back. So that would be kind of like a stall fest. But then Landorus just obliterates it with Earth Power. So unless it was Assault Vest, but if you're running Assault Vest, you're not running weakness policy, which is kind of, and you're not running Iron Defense, so it's like, I don't know, Assault Vest on Regirock would be kind of niche, and I wouldn't have expected it anyway. Jolteon was a mon that I was fairly sure would make an appearance just because of Volt Absorb and Aleki being an absolute menace. So Jolteon basically just nullifies Aleki, which is why instead of running Hyper Beam, which, you know, is a really strong normal move, one has not recoil, it has to recharge, and then Jolteon also is better on the special defense side versus running Extreme Speed, which would be, you know, which is terrible if I lock myself into Stream Speed and Lele's in, because then Psychic Terrain doesn't let me use it at all. But in the off chance Terrain went down and it was Aleki against Jolteon, and I had to switch in against it, I could still Extreme Speed and deal decent damage into it, while also out-prioritizing it. So made sure to cover for that. And then Frostlass is also kind of spooky. It has some options. It gets like Icy Wind. I think it gets like Destiny Bond. Does it even get Parasong? It might get Parasong too. I know Lapras does. But Frostlass is a good lead if you're worried about Fake Out. But also Gourgeist just does that better on top of Trick Room. So I think Frostlass is meant to be run if you're worried about a really fast team. Or you're trying to be the faster team, but in the face of Aleki, it's like impossible to do. So I'm not surprised Frostlass didn't really make it out here. Plus, like it just kind of gets destroyed. Like Indeedee Male is immune to Ghost type moves, and then it could just hit back with Shadow Ball or something, and then Volcarona for Fire, Jellicent for Ghost, Volcarona for Fire. Frostlass just didn't really have a good matchup into this team. And then Steel all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. Not bringing Frostlass was the smart play. Kind of surprised not to see Lapras. The only thing that Lapras would have an issue with is Aleki. Outside that, Lapras has a pretty good matchup into the rest of my team just because it's very bulky. It's kind of at an awkward speed tier just because, like, if you were to put this thing in Trick Room and I had like Berserker out, my Steely Spear Iron Heads deal good damage, or I could even run like Close Combat Scavalier. So I don't know. It could have worked. I think Lapras would have needed Aleki to go down for it to come in safely. But I don't know. With Aleki being on the team, I'm not surprised it wasn't brought. But I think if you play around Aleki, Lapras could have been really good here. And then Stonejourner is another mon that I think I tested a while back, probably like a year or two ago. On the ladder, he's really fun. Power Spot's a cool ability. It's basically just a life orb, free life orb for you and your ally Pokemon. And it's surprisingly quick. 70 base speed for what is effectively 2 rocks side by side with one on top, so a piece of Stonehenge. Is fairly fast. So I mean, it's faster than Berserker, who is like a Viking cat. So what are you gonna do? But this thing's got what, like 100? It's got some pretty good physical stats. 100 HP, 125 attack, 135 defense. Not bad. Not bad at all, honestly. Those are some really good stats. And then you get the special attack, which is 20. Not going to use that, who cares? And then you get to the problem with with Stonejourner, which is its 20 base special defense, which I think, if I remember correctly, is even worse than Kartana, which is 30. I could be remembering incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure Kartana's 30. And we see what any special move does to that Pokemon. So Stonejourner just getting like absolutely destroyed by any special move when most of my team is special. Aleki, Landorus, I guess Landorus could also go physical and technically has a better physical attack stat. But I have typically run special Landorus, special Indeedee, Volcarona special, Jellicent special, physical, or special. This week I ran special Lucario, physical. So like, a lot of my strong attackers are special, so Stonejourner would just get destroyed. So. But yeah, this was my opponent's team. This was Gwen's team. So a very, very wide team, which makes it harder to plan for. I think the only reason I was able to plan for it semi well was because there are some extremely powerful strats that I had to be aware of going into the match. And you know, them being extremely powerful strats, you know, you always bring them out. In game 1, I think she brought it out just to test, probably just as a chump check to make sure I thought of a way to get around it, which is very smart. Sometimes a chump check is what you need to do. So good on her for leading that, because had I not been prepared for it, I would have just auto lost and she could have just led that for the rest of the match and just smoked me. So smart strat. Let's see. Let's go to my team now. I know I've been talking a lot, but you know, it's been like 9 days, so I've missed this. It's been a while. It's been over a week. But for this team, I brought Indeedee Male. One of the, well, actually, going back to this, just so you're aware, I removed Gyarados. I removed Cryogonal. I removed, what else did I remove? Weezing and Drapion. Those 4 are gone. Instead, I drafted Applin and Wimpod just for 1 point each, otherwise known as the bag. I never intend to use these two. These two would not do anything in any of these matches if I decided to bring them, other than just take up a place and not get brought into the actual battle. But I needed the point differential to be able to grab Indeedee Male and Jellicent. So this was what, I think 16 and 12, 15, 12, one of the two. Maybe it's 15, 12, 14, 12, I don't remember. It's probably like 15, 12. But I needed that point differential, and then plus these two on top of, you know, losing Gyarados kind of hurts just because Intimidate's really good, and that was my only Intimidate mon. But Gyarados was solid, but not really helping me deal with Trick Room. As you saw in week 6, I got steamrolled by a Mud Horse. And which could just completely ignore Intimidate, and that wasn't necessarily the only reason I wanted to switch out Gyarados for Jellicent, but it was just the icing on the cake at the end of it. After last week, I finally admitted to myself that I can only do so much against Trick Room teams with the team that I currently had, and I needed to make a change. So in order to make, you know, week 6 this week, and then next week, week 7, as competitive as possible. For me and my opponents, I wanted to try to make my team a little bit better into dealing with Trick Room, just because I had such a blatant weakness to it. So thankfully, that change seems to have helped. It didn't really seem like it played that much of a major part this time around, other than me having 2 Trick Room mons, or 2 mons I could set Trick Room versus none before, which baited Gwen into thinking that I was going to reverse Trick Room with my own Trick Room, which is smart, and I did consider, because that's why I had Trick Room with Jellicent, as you can see down here. I just didn't do that for Indeedee. But running Sash on it was intentional. I wanted to at least make sure I would get off an Expanding Force on Psychic Terrain, which hits both opponents. Extremely insane move. I understand why Lele wasn't given this move, because Lele, on top of a 130 base special attack stat in Psychic Terrain with this move, auto setting it for itself, the terrain for itself, would be insane. So, not that I'm saying it's not also busted with Indeedee, because it is, which is kind of similar to Rillaboom setting his own grassy terrain for Grassy Glide, which is also insane. We see where Rillaboom is on the ladder usage. So, yeah, I want to make sure I can tank a hit, set Psychic Surge, obviously, just because it gets sent in. And then just start smacking things with Expanding Force. So if you ignore Indeedee, I just start dealing big damage, and then if you decide to deal with it, it forces you to double into it to remove it. I also ran Encore to Encore Trick Room. So in the off chance that Indeedee was not attacked turn 1, and, you know, Gourgeist set Trick Room turn 1, I could then Encore into that slot, and if they don't double Indeedee, I get Encore off, and then next turn it has to reset Trick Room again. Actually, no, that wouldn't work, because it would use a move before that. Poltergeist. It would not Poltergeist into this slot, so I think my thinking, I don't have notes on that specific scenario, but I think my thinking with Encore was if it used like Seed Bomb or something into Indeedee, eats a hit, Encores it in, and then I bring Escav in, who just eats grass type moves with a quad resist for breakfast. So there was some tech here that I had thought of, but it was probably just specifically for that. If I had run min speed Indeedee, which I guess with the information I have, I could have, assuming Gourgeist is 99 speed, but I think the Gourgeist form was probably a different one. Does it actually tell me what form it is in here? Super. Okay, so Super is probably the really big, heavy one that has really low speed. I didn't even account for that at all. I only wrote one set of stats in here for Gourgeist, so that was poor planning on my part, but it's a pretty cool mod, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. Encore is just really annoying to deal with in certain scenarios, so, you know, outside of the locking, you know, a Mon into a not very effective move, and then swapping in a Mon to just start tanking those hits and then dealing damage. Outside that, it's just good to have in scenarios where if you think you can lock your opponent into a bad move, then awesome. Which it didn't really, you know, it didn't come to pass, which is fine. And then I just ran max speed, max special attack just for big damage. That was basically it. It was just meant to come in here and deal big damage. Then we have Escav, who was the key to Trick Room, basically being my Trick Room answer against Gwen. And any week that I've had Trick Room as being an issue, I usually bring Escav. It's got amazing typing. I ran Citrus Berry this week just because I know, aside, if I could deal with Torkoal first, Escav can at least, you know, eat some hits with Citrus Berry. Overcoat is specifically if I am stuck in with Lilligant and it wants to Sleep Powder, I'm immune to it, and then I can just X Scissor it. And then this moveset, you know, covers virtually every Mon on the team. So, and then just your typical HP attack, special defense, EV setup. So this is pretty standard. I've run this set, you know, a lot of weeks that I've brought him. The only item that switches around is like Citrus Berry, AV, sometimes Lum. But otherwise, I generally run Overcoat unless I don't have to worry about any powder or weather. In which case, then I usually run, what is his other, Shell Armor to prevent crits, which I ended up getting crit this game, so that would have been a better ability this week than Overcoat, because Overcoat did nothing. And then you have Lucky, which is, you know, my classic Choice Scarf. Modest. I think this is the same set I ran last week, actually, or the week before, I don't remember, but probably last week. Just because Choice Scarf, Lucky, even Modest outspeeds literally everything, and then I just deal massive damage with full EVs and a special attack nature with Transistor. All my electric moves just deal insane damage. So this was also just to make sure I outsped Chlorophyll Lilligant in Sun to slow down and deal damage into Torkoal to make sure it couldn't use Eruption immediately after Lilligant. And then we have Jellicent, who I thought about running Water Absorb to cover for Lapras, but I didn't really see Lapras as that much of a threat even if I didn't run water absorb, so I decided to run Curse Body, which is more annoying. And that 30% proc rate, I've been seeing in Discord, everyone's saying it's like 100%, and so far they're right, because I've only used this mod once, and it got hit and immediately triggered. So the calculations, hello, 30%, where you at? Looking like 100. But yeah, so I ran Life Orb this week. I say that like I ran Jellicent any other week. This is its first week. But I feel like normally you wouldn't want to run Life Orb, or not that you wouldn't want to. You just normally wouldn't see Jellicent run Life Orb. I didn't have any other items I wanted to put on it. I thought about Lumberry. I thought about AV. Can't use Trick Room or Strength Sap. So I wanted to deal a little bit extra damage with this thing if I got it in. Especially if I undersped some stuff, or if I was locked in against Torkoal, dealing some extra Scald damage with Sun up would be nice to have. And then I could also, Life Orb's recoil damage for attacking doesn't really make that much of an impact if I can just Strength Sap the HP back. So, and then Shadow Ball Scald covered quite a lot of the team. So, didn't end up having the showing that I wanted it to because it got erupted on and then poltergeisted with his own Life Orb. So, but forcing someone to double into a Mon because it's really annoying is powerful knowledge. So, which is also why I ran it bulky, because I knew it would be a nuisance to deal with. A nuisance, I guess, is by default something that's annoying to deal with. But anyway, yeah, I ran max HP, 120 defense, 84 special defense, and then the remainder I invested in special attack on top of the Life Orb just to deal a little bit extra damage. That would go unexpected. And then min speed, 0 IVs. Yeah, here we go. Yep. So, 58 speed is pretty slow, but I did not account for Gourgeist Super Form, which was obviously slower, so very well played. I had not accounted for that. Then we have Landorus. I probably could have set these like this before just so you can see the stats, but you can see them up here anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. But Landorus is just the everything here is something that you've seen before. Protect Earth, Power, Sludge Bomb, Rock Slide, Sheer Force, 4 in HP, 252 special attack speed, Timid. There, easy, boom, done. Landorus. That's Landorus in a nutshell. It comes in swinging, deals big damage, and then dies. The only difference is that Life Orb was on Jellicent, and I knew the first Mon that I built was Landorus, and the first item I gave him was Safety Goggles. So the thing that I was most worried about outside of after you Lilligant into Torkoal Eruption was Torkoal Protect into Sleep Powder. So Lilligant in Sun could just outspeed anything outside of Aleki and then Sleep Powder, which is what I was scared of. So in order to make sure I fully accounted for that lead, I had Aleki attack into Torkoal for Thunderbolt, and then Landorus would attack into Lilligant with Sludge Bomb. And Lilligant, my thought was that Lilligant, if it were going to Sleep Powder something, it probably would not be Aleki. It would probably be Landorus, only because Aleki can't really deal much damage into Lilligant, just because it resists its electric moves. I mean, Aleki still does decent damage with Transistor, and especially my set with Modest and max special attack, but in general thinking Grass resists electric, so I mean you'd probably want to deal with the bigger threat, who's Landorus, who easily just destroys, this guy just takes names. So I wanted to be prepared for a Sleep Powder going into this slot, which is why I want to run Safety Goggles. So thankfully I didn't need it, but the item on Landorus ended up being irrelevant, which is totally fine, just because Sheer Force coupled with these moves still deal really good damage. So, but that was a just in case. I wanted to make sure I was prepared for that at the very least. And then finally, Lucario, who didn't get to see the light today, was Expert Belt, Inner Focus. Inner Focus, I don't really have another ability I wanted to run on it, so I wanted to make sure I at least prevented any, there's no Intimidate or anything either. But, I don't know, I just wanted to run Inner Focus. It was it's the best ability of the 3 that he has, unless I want to run Justified, but I wasn't bringing any dark moves other than Knockoff. And I didn't want to knock off my own Expert Belt, so... But yeah, Expert Belt was to deal extra damage for super effective moves into mons like Lele with Flash Cannon, and then also like Frostlass with Flash Cannon, or Regirock with either one of those, honestly. Or Togetic with Flash Cannon. There's a lot of options here. Steel and Fighting covered the team pretty well. And then Helping Hand, just in case I got caught in Trick Room and would get outsped and destroyed by like Torkoal, I could at least get a Helping Hand off into like S-Cav or something. And then stat-wise, this is a pretty interesting stat spread for, or EV spread for Lucario. I haven't run one quite like this. This is a slightly more bulky variant with minimal speed investment, mostly because I was worried about Trick Room. And there were quite a few mons on the team that have like middling speed, like Stonjourner, Lapras, Regirock, and then other mons that I would assume would outspeed me anyway, like Silvally, and then Lele. So I didn't really feel the need to invest in the speed that much, so I only put 60 EVs into it. And I didn't even run a speed nature. I ran a defensive nature with minus attack, with a little bit of bulk in each category, and then max special attack just to really deal as much damage as possible, combined with that Expert Belt. So I didn't get a chance to use it. Torkoal was pretty terrifying, and I knew it was going to be a major issue. So Lucario was just a potential backup. If I didn't see Torkoal on the screen, I probably would have Lucario set and ready to go. So, but yeah, that was the team. It was definitely easier to prep having Jellicent and Indeedee on the team, specifically for Trick Room, just because I have so many options now to either reverse it or just prevent it outright, or be solid within Trick Room itself. So I wouldn't say I am, you know, I definitely don't think I can just get away with any lackadaisical plans into Trick Room teams, which I'm going to have to play Poppin next week, who has a fantastic Trick Room team. But I should at least have better tools to prepare for it and hopefully not just get destroyed by it. So this week could have gone either way. GG to Gwen, very well played. The only difference maker in that game was that I didn't go for the reverse Trick Room, which was a smart play, smarter than I anticipated, specifically with Indeedee. I did think about it with Jellicent, but I decided against it. Just in case Lilligant was led. Leaf Storm does a whole hell of a lot of damage, and I didn't want to have it in the face of that and Torkoal at the same time. So I was just basically playing to my outs of Focus Sash, Expanding Force, and then trying to take out the Gourgeist as fast as possible. But you know, sometimes a prediction can go awry. So I've had a lot of bad predictions over the past couple weeks, so not that was a bad one by any means. That was a prediction far beyond my comprehension at the time. So very well played. Yeah, that's all I got. That was a good match, and I have another match tomorrow for playoffs round 1 for the Little Cup League. That should be fun. And after that is, you know, starting to prep for week 7 next week. I'm gonna be busy, you know, Thursday through Saturday, and then Sunday's Father's Day. So basically immediately after that is week 7. So I have to start, you know, at least getting some thoughts on paper just to see what I'm gonna do against Poppin's team, because that team looks like a menace. So just like everyone's team so far, it's gonna be tough, but it'll be a fun one, so I'm looking forward to it. But it feels good to record again. It's been probably like 9-10 days or something. It's been a little while. Maybe it even hasn't been that long. It's just felt like that long, but I don't know. It's fun. I'm having a good time with this. I don't plan on going anywhere, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. But that's all I got for you. So good night. Peace.